Welcome to the continued celebration of the Town of Ithaca's Bicentennial. Today, we will have a dramatic reading of the New York State legislation that was adopted on March 16th, 1821, 200 years ago today, creating the towns of Ithaca and Enfield out of the older, larger town of Ulysses. This is the second in a series of Zoom events broadcast on YouTube to commemorate the town's bicentennial. You can go to the Town of Ithaca YouTube channel anytime to find a recording of the first event, a discussion from last Tuesday, March 9th, with Town Supervisor Rod Howe, Gayagono Sachem, or Chief, Sam George, and Cornell Professor Dr. Kurt Jordan, explaining some of the indigenous history of this land, including the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Gayagono inhabitants of our area, who many of us know as the Cayuga Nation. The town of Ulysses was created 4 years before 1821 in 1817, when Tompkins County was created out of the southern part of the older Seneca County and the southern part of the older Cayuga County. The town, like other towns created throughout upstate New York in the late 1700s and early 1800s, consisted of 100 military tract lots, which were given to Revolutionary War veterans as compensation for fighting in the War of Independence. And each lot contained 600 acres of land. The Erie Canal, 50 miles to the north beyond the northern end of Cayuga Lake, was started 4 years before in 1817 and was still 4 years away before being completed in 1825. For more details about the history of this area, you can check the book written by county historian Carol Kamen and former county administrator Joe Mariana, Explaining Tompkins, Its Growth and Government, which is available for sale at the Tompkins Center for History and Culture on the Commons. Now we will go back in time 200 years to March 16th, 1821. We are at the steps of Town Hall, located within the present-day city of Ithaca, the only place in New York State where a town hall is not located within the geographic boundaries of the town. This required special permission from the New York State Legislature and was allowed originally and until 1888 because the city of Ithaca was originally the village of Ithaca and thus was a part of the town of Ithaca, just as the village of Lansing is a part of the town of Lansing and the village of Dryden is a part of the town of Dryden. Let's go back now 200 years and try to imagine what it might have been like when the town of Ithaca was created by New York State legislation. Okay.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye! I hereby declare an act to divide the town of Ulysses in the county of Tompkins be enacted by the people of the state of New York, represented in state and assembly, that from and after the passing of this act, all that part of the town of Ulysses in the county of Tompkins, lying within the boundaries following, that is to say, beginning at the northwest corner of lot number 1 in Bicentennial, thence south to the northwest corner of lot number 34, thence east to the northeast corner of lot number 39, thence south to the northwest corner of lot number 40, thence east to Cayuga Lake, thence along said lake, northerly to the southeast corner of the town of Colbert, thence west to the place of beginning, shall be and is hereby erected into a separate town by the name of Ulysses, and that the first town meeting shall be held at the house of John Madison in the village of Jacksonville in said town. And be it further enacted that so much of the remaining part of the town of Ulysses lying within the following boundaries, that is to say, beginning at the northwest corner of lot number 34, thence south to the north line of Tioga County, thence east on said line to the southeast corner of lot number 77, thence north to the northeast corner of lot number 39, thence west to the place of beginning, shall be and is hereby erected into a separate town by the name of Enfield, and that the first town meeting be held at the house of John Appleton, and all the remaining part of the town of Ulysses shall be and remain a separate town by the name of Ithaca, and that the first town meeting be held at the courthouse in the village of Ithaca. And be it further enacted that the supervisors and overseers of the poor of the towns of Ulysses, Enfield, and Ithaca shall meet together on the second Tuesday of May next at the house of Edmund Hopkins in the town of Ulysses, and apportion the money and poor belonging to the said town of Ulysses previous to the division, agreeable to the last tax list, and that each of the said towns thereafter shall maintain and support their own poor. And that is also to be the duty of the commissioners of common schools in the said town hereby divided, to meet with the said supervisors on said second Tuesday of May next, and make an equitable apportionment of the monies arising either from the rent or sale of the gospel and school lot belonging to the said town hereby.
Oh, yeah.
So there you have it. The first meeting of the new town of Ithaca will take place at the courthouse in the village of Ithaca, a few blocks from here on Court Street. On the second Tuesday of May in about 2 months. And then there will be a meeting at Edmund Hopkins' house in the town of Ulysses, where the 3 supervisors, the overseers of the poor from the 3 new towns, and the new commissioners of common schools will all meet to apportion the monies for the maintenance and support of the poor in each town, and to apportion the rents and sales proceeds for the gospel and school lots in each town. This is your reporter signing off.
Now that you have heard the legislation from March 16th, 1821, you may have some questions. What did the overseers of the poor do? And what were the gospel and school lots? A few brief answers. We will provide longer answers at our next reenactment on April 12th. The overseers of the poor were citizens elected to those positions who would take tax money collected by the municipality and distribute it to the poor living in the town. That position had developed over time in England and the colonies before independence. The gospel lot and the school lot were two of the military track lots that were not given to Revolutionary War veterans, but were instead owned by the town itself and could be rented out or sold by the town to raise money to support the construction of a church building or a common school building. Please tune in to the Town of Ithaca YouTube channel again on Monday, April 12th, 2021, at the beginning of the regular town board meeting at 5:30 p.m. to watch a reenactment of the first town meeting, which occurred on April 3rd, 1821, and which was when the first town supervisor and town clerk were elected, as well as the overseers of the poor, commissioners of common schools, the trustees of the gospel and school lots, commissioners of highways, constables, and other officials. Also, the town voters at that first meeting adopted various resolutions, including penalties for letting swine or mares run loose. So join us in a few weeks and learn what invasive plant species was considered such a nuisance that a resolution was adopted penalizing the failure to remove it. That's right, even 200 years ago, town residents were concerned about invasive species. And remember, to learn more about the history of the town of Ithaca, you can read Explaining Tompkins, and visit the History Center at the Tompkins Center for History and Culture down the block from Town Hall on the Commons portion of North Tioga Street, and visit the lobby of Town Hall here at 215 North Tioga Street, where we have lobby display cases showing changing exhibits about town history throughout our bicentennial year of 2021. The exhibits have been put together by our bicentennial committee with help from our town clerk and town historian and the History Center of Tompkins County. Thank you for joining our broadcast of the dramatic reading of the legislation creating the town of Ithaca 200 years ago today, March 16th, 1821.